Welcome back, everyone. We're taking a ride again down to Sedona, and I thought I would see if y'all wanted to come along for the ride as we make our way down the snowy switchbacks up top here, down into the stunning canyon of Oak Creek and on into the red rocks of Sedona. While we're taking this little wee stroll through the mountains here, I just wanted to share a few things. I've had a lot of questions about the electronics on this bike, and specifically what I'm referring to is what's called the T-Box or the transmission box. So this bike comes with essentially like a GPS communications box that allows you to track its location at any point. So it's essentially like an Apple AirTag. So I can go into the app and it will tell me at any point where my motorcycle is. I guess it's the CFMoto low jack system or something. But it is kind of nice because anytime that I move the bike, I get a vibration alert, which is nice if someone were gonna try to steal the bike. So as you can see, I just moved the bike out here on the driveway and I got a vibration alert. This is inside the app itself, and as you can see, it knows where I am. And it has all of my previous tracks in here, so you can see all the rides I've done. So it is active and working, and you can even see there I've got a vibration alert. Now, something that I do want to show you that people have been asking me about is also how to connect for system updates. So as you can see, I'm in my personal hotspot for my phone, and I've set the password to 12345678. It's super lame, but apparently that's how the CFMoto is able to connect. So rather than trying to set up my Wi-Fi, this is just easier, and then I say allow, and then I go in here, go down to the settings, go down to the system update, and as you can see, it will search password 12345678, and there's me. My phone is called Clarence. I don't know why. It's connecting and it's checking for updates, and so far it's been telling me that I am current. I don't need any sort of major update. There you go. This is the latest version. Confirm. So I'm running 1.00.98. But also it tracks all of my rides, which is also pretty cool for if you're a numbers person like me. Now, I suppose that means the Chinese government and ostensibly could be tracking my movements. Who knows? Maybe I should be more concerned about that. I don't know. Moving on, I thought I would talk a little bit about the interesting week we've had here in Flagstaff. So as you can see, there is snow up on the slopes of these mountains here. Everything was cruising along great. Temperatures were getting warm. We had a couple days in the 70s last week or 2 weeks ago. It was awesome. I was out riding the bike, and then we had a freak week of crazy snowstorms. Now, we didn't get a lot of accumulation, but it was very cold, very windy, and more importantly, very icy. We don't use salt here in Flagstaff, so all the roads were just sheets of ice. So I did not want to take the brand new bike out while we still had ice on the ground. So that's why I've been radio silent for a few days. But also had a really interesting week at work. So I took my students on this really interesting field trip up to Glen Canyon Dam. So if you're not familiar, Glen Canyon Dam is the large hydroelectric dam that dams up the Colorado River right on the Utah-Arizona border, and what is responsible for Lake Powell. So it gets a little confusing because we have Lake Powell here, but we also have Lake Mead over by Vegas, and they're both dammed on the Colorado. One is Hoover Dam and one is Glen Canyon Dam. But Glen Canyon Dam has a really interesting history, and so I wanted them to see the dam, and we did this whole tour on energy, and we stopped at an old coal plant and talked about high voltage power lines, and it was really an interesting field trip. But what was awesome was we got a tour of the dam from the director of the dam. So we got the unabridged high security clearance tour. I mean, not really. We didn't have to get any security clearance, but we got to go down all the way into the bottom inner workings of the dam and see the 8 large generators spinning away, producing electricity. We got to walk along the top of the dam, take elevators down into the dam, just all through the facility, and it was really remarkable to see something of that scale up close. On the adventure front, I've got a few updates. Let's see, regarding my running, it's been going very well, other than one little minor injury last week, which hasn't really set me back, but I've been running 50 miles a week, and as far as my goal to run 2,000 miles this year, I'm already about 80 miles ahead of pace. So I'm just trying to bank some miles here just in case I have any trouble later on in the year. I have to take a lot of rest or I get injured or something, but we're doing really well. We just hit 600 miles total this morning. And so, yeah, we're doing really well. And I feel good about it. So that's going well, and I've got my first race tomorrow, that at least my first race in a while, since early February. And I'm going to be running a 25-mile trail race down near the Phoenix area called the Damn Good Run, because we run along a dam. And then I've got a couple of pretty interesting adventures planned for May. So, and well, for April and for May. So yeah, things are going really well. I'm very excited. Right now, I'm just going to put my head down here and focus on this beautiful scenery as we drive along Oak Creek Canyon, and this guy in this Mustang is really enjoying tailgating me, so I'm not too thrilled about that. Just had a lovely latte at my little Oak Creek cafe there down in the canyon, and now we are about to experience the awesome switchbacks going back up into the high country here. This is one of my favorite little stretches to do. We are stuck behind a nice train of cars here, but there is one thing that I think is worth bringing up, and I'm curious to any of you other Ibex owners out there what your experience here is. But I'm looking down at my console, and over the 413 miles we've put on this bike, it says I'm averaging 76 miles per gallon. Now, again, obviously I'm riding the bike very gently. I'm not taking it up on any interstates, but even still, I've certainly taken it up on some 55 mile an hour roads for extended periods. And that just seems abnormally high. And I'm not sure if that's a weird imperial versus US gallon conversion, or if that is legit, like I'm actually getting 76 miles per gallon. Because if that's the case, then I am getting 300 miles on a tank, which seems outrageous. So I did make an additional adjustment on the bike that I guess is worth noting. So there's quite a few ways that you can adjust the suspension on this bike. There's multiple settings up front on the forks, and then there's a couple settings on the rear. Without getting into too much detail on compression and rebound and damping and preload and all the different settings, what I can tell you is that there's a couple of ways to adjust both the front and the rear with clickers, and in all cases they range from 0 to 20, with 0 being the quote softest and 20 being the quote stiffest. And when you get this bike from the factory, they're supposed to set all of those settings to 10, so right in the middle. And I found that to be a bit stiff, even at my lighter weight of 155. So what I did was I clicked all the settings back 3 clicks to 7. So the left and the right side, which I think is the compression and the, I forget, I'm not sure which is which, but I clicked them back 3 clicks, and then under the bike on the rear, there's also a clicker for the rear spring, and I clicked that back 3 clicks as well. And I really think that that's the sweet spot for me. So slightly skewed towards the softer side, and I've still got plenty of, you know, clicks to go if I wanted to go even softer, but I really kind of like this setting right now, at least for now. I suppose as the bike gets broken in more, things will soften up, and I may have to kind of go back towards the middle. But yeah, I think for me, 7 clicks seems to be the sweet spot. So I think something else that's worth noting is that in my new bike day video, I got quite a bit of feedback from commenters basically scratching their head saying, why did you spend so much on sort of factory accessories? You know, if this was like your dream bike, why did you immediately drop another $800 on accessories? And you know, I explained in the video that, you know, I might have gone a little overboard on some of the accessories, but I also knew that it was just easier for me to buy a lot of that stuff at that initial purchase, but also because I knew or I suspected that we were going to have to deal with future tariffs. And I know that's like kind of the boogeyman bad word right now. It's happening right now. Tariffs are going into effect. It is going to dramatically impact prices of just about everything. And so I'm really glad that I was able to get this bike from China before these massive tariffs went into effect, because I suspect anybody buying this bike now, starting basically this week, is going to pay a markedly higher price for it. I feel bad for all you guys out there that are just now like watching this video going, man, I want to buy one of these bikes and I live in, you know, Nebraska or somewhere in the United States. It sucks, man. You're gonna have to pay probably a huge markup on this bike, probably, you know, thousands of dollars more than I paid out the door. Anyway, we are home. Thanks for coming along for the ride, and yeah, feel free to ask me questions in the comments below. But take care, have a good day, and be safe out there. I'll see you in the next video. Bye. If you're interested in getting the Barkbuster kit for the 450 Ibex or MT, this is the kit. There it is. It is BHG089. That's the one for the Ibex, and it's also the one for the Multistrada Ducati V4. So there you go.